Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're getting into something really interesting, a specific track from Taylor Swift's latest conceptual album, The Life of a Showgirl. Fictional album, of course, released in our scenario October 3rd, 2025. We're looking at track 6, Ruin the Friendship. And our goal here is to really unpack how this song starts as, classic high school relationship drama, that whole should I or shouldn't I vibe, and then transforms into something much, much heavier, a real warning about regret.
Oh, absolutely. And even in this fictional setup, the craftsmanship you'd expect is there. You've got Swift, Sandberg, Schuster, the writing team. It's listed as pop, soft rock, but honestly, the genre doesn't capture it. It's just brilliant storytelling, weaving these tiny details together to build massive emotional stakes.
Yeah, and right from the start, it sets up that core conflict, playing it safe, keeping the friendship versus just seizing the moment, taking that risk. Even when, as the lyrics state pretty clearly, it was not an invitation, that line is key. Okay, so let's dig into where that first mischance happens. The lyrics, they just immediately pull you in. Glistening grass from September rain, gray overpass full of neon names. It feels really specific, doesn't it?
Completely. It's nostalgic, almost cinematic. And those details anchor the closeness of the friendship, Driving 85 down Gallatin Road in the lakeside beach, watching some game from a brother's Jeep. It's not casual. This person is part of her world.
And their smile is miles wide. It establishes this really comfortable intimacy.
Exactly. Which makes the internal conflict hit harder. She feels this pull, this urge.
But the moment isn't right. The first instance, it's about logistics almost. It says, and it was not an invitation should kissed you anyway.
Right. Followed by the kicker. And it was not convenient, no. But your girlfriend was away. Should have kissed you anyway.
Okay, so let's pause on that for a second. It was not an invitation. That phrasing is, well, it's loaded, isn't it?
It really is. And I think it's important we touch on that.
Yeah.
Because she acknowledges the lack of invitation, the inconvenient timing, the girlfriend being away, but the conclusion is still, should have kissed you anyway.
Yeah, and you have to ask, if you flip the genders, if a male artist wrote about ignoring the fact it wasn't an invitation just because someone's partner wasn't there, that lands very differently for a lot of listeners. It could easily sound creepy or worse.
Absolutely. That's the double standard we have to acknowledge is potentially at play when we hear lines like that.
Yeah.
But I think within the context of this song, it's framed very internally. It's about her regret, her wish that she'd acted on her own intense desire, despite the clear signals not to.
So it's less about advocating for ignoring boundaries generally, and more about expressing the depth of her personal retroactive longing. She's saying the pain of not doing it turned out to be worse than the potential fallout of doing it.
Precisely. It's a raw expression of female desire and ultimately regret over inaction. We empathize with the feeling, even while we recognize the problematic nature of the specific thought if it were universal advice at this stage. It's about her internal narrative of what if.
Okay, that makes sense in tracking the song's arc. And that internal battle, that push and pull, it comes through so clearly in the pre-chorus. That's the rational brain kicking in.
Yeah, the voice of caution, all the reasons not to do it. Don't make it awkward in second period. That detail is just perfect high school anxiety, isn't it? So specific.
Totally. And might piss your ex off. It's all about avoiding immediate social discomfort, keeping things smooth.
Staying friends is safe, the lyric goes, doesn't mean you should. It nails that teenage impulse to just, avoid the drama, keep the peace.
But then she immediately undercuts that safe logic. The kiss, she thinks, would have been the best mistake. That word best changes everything. It says the risk, the potential chaos, was actually desirable.
And that says the next scene, where the feeling persists, but the setting changes. It feels like maybe a prom or some school dance.
Yeah, shiny wood floors underneath my feet. The disco ball makes everything look cheap. It's more public now.
And she's there with someone else, it seems. The detail of the wilted corsage dangles from my wrist.
So she's committed, technically.
But she still sees him, catches him looking at me. That shared glance, even across a crowded room, even with other people involved.
And the impulse, that core regret, it just repeats. It's becoming this obsessive thought she can't shake.
Right, and this time it's linked to, a 50 Cent song playing? And that was not an invitation. But as the 50 Cent song played, should have kissed you anyway. The context shifts slightly, but the regret is constant. It's still framed by youthful fears, though.
Exactly. At this point, the weight of Should Have Kissed You Anyway is still measured against, like, social awkwardness, hallway weirdness, TikTok exes, relatively minor stuff in the grand scheme.
Right.
And that's the foundation the bridge just completely demolishes. The song pivots hard. This is where it stops being just a relatable high school story and turns into something.
Oh.
Yeah, devastating. We jump forward in time.
And suddenly all those little excuses, convenience, the girlfriend, the ex, the awkwardness, they just become meaningless, utterly irrelevant.
The lyric says, "When I left school, I lost track of you." So there's distance, time passes, maybe things settle down in her mind.
But then the news comes,
Yeah.
and the way it's delivered. Abigail called me with the bad news. Abigail, presumably that longtime best friend, the constant presence.
And the news itself is just blunt. He's gone. Goodbye, and we'll never know why. That line is a gut punch. It's not just mourning him, it's mourning everything that could have been.
Yeah, the potential, the relationship they didn't have, the questions never answered. And it instantly reframes everything that came before. All that worry about second period,
Seems so small now.
ridiculously small. Compared to the finality of death, of the grave, you see the scale of her perceived mistake. She prioritized temporary comfort over a chance at something real, and now the chance is gone forever.
And the bridge delivers the absolute peak of that regret. She finally says what she wanted to say, but it's too late. She's talking to a memory.
Those lines. It was not convenient, no. But I whispered at the grave, should have kicked you anyway. The repetition gains this unbearable weight. The inconvenience is nothing now.
That last line of the bridge, with so much left to say, it crystallizes the tragedy. It wasn't just the kiss. It was everything unspoken, every question unasked, unanswered. And from that place of absolute hard-won grief, the song delivers its final message. It's not narrative anymore, it's direct advice to the listener. And it's radical.
It really is. It's a complete reversal of all that earlier caution.
Yeah.
And my advice is always ruin the friendship. Better that than regret it for all time. It's saying the potential mess is always better than the certainty of lifelong regret.
Wow. Yeah. Ruin the friendship. That's a strong take.
It is. And then it broadens out, doesn't it? Beyond just romance. And my advice is always answer the question, better that than to ask it all your life.
It becomes about existential choices, about speaking your truth, about acting, about not leaving things unsaid or undone because you're afraid of the immediate consequences.
Exactly. So the journey is huge. From these very specific, almost mundane high school details, the Jeep, the corsage, second period, to this universal, profound truth learned through immense pain. Death just erases all the small fears.
It argues that inconvenience, awkwardness, even losing a friendship, none of it matters as much as avoiding that permanent state of what if. The attempt, the risk itself is what counts.
That's why it hits so hard, I think. It's not just a catchy song about a crush. It's a philosophical statement wrapped in a pop package. The risk of ruination is better than the certainty of regret.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, maybe that's the thought to leave you with. Thinking about the song's final stark advice. If regret it for all time really is the worst outcome, what potential ruination are you maybe avoiding right now? What friendship might need disrupting? Or what question do you need to answer for yourself instead of just asking it over and over in your head for the rest of your life?
A powerful question to consider.
Definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining us as we explored this track. We'll catch you next time on The Deep Dive.